Hey everybody, it's Pajama Life with our review of I Saw the TV Glow, the Rings of Power finale, and Agatha All Along. Let's take a look.
Isabel's bathroom has a new supernatural infestation that no exterminator can take care of. It's the attack of the Drain Lords.
I know this might sound crazy. I don't want to alarm you. Do you remember a TV show we used to watch together? When you think back on the Pink Opaque, do you ever get confused?
Maddie, it was a TV show.
Are you sure that's all it was? Something's wrong. This isn't how life is supposed to feel.
They disappeared without a trace. All they found was her TV set burning in the backyard. What if I really was someone else? Very far away on the other side of a television screen.
Okay, well, let me say hey to everybody. And we have our two guys right here. These two guys. David, say hey to the people.
Hey, everybody. Great to be with you. Make sure you stay and watch the entire episode tonight because before we say goodbye, I'm going to unveil my new Star Trek tattoo.
Ooh, exciting. And Patrick, say hey to the people.
Well, how am I supposed to follow that? That's ridiculous. I don't have any new tattoos. Terrible lead in, Dave. Everybody, great to see you. We'll talk about these shows, even though I don't have a tattoo. A new one. I have tattoos, but not a new one.
All right. Well, let's start off with David. What did you think of I Saw the TV Glow?
Overall, I thought this was a neat show. It had a lot of elements. It seemed to borrow from a lot of different things, channeling things from It and Stranger Things. It was, I enjoyed it overall. I think it's a great start to the Halloween feel. So I do recommend it. Not the best thing I've seen, but I do think it was a nice kind of start here in October.
Okay. Pat, what did you think?
Wow. Terrible. Hated it. It was all substance. It was all style, no substance. It went everywhere. It couldn't decide on anything. It felt like it was designed to be an MTV video without any good music. It was just
no music.
No good music. I said no good music. I said the thing is, it felt like it went all over the place. It was just all about style, and it was just the actors felt flat. I mean, overall, everybody was just always talking like they were halfway stoned. I suspect this would be a great movie if you were really stoned. I wasn't, so it was not a great movie for me. So I would not recommend that if you don't want to lose 2 hour 50 minutes of your life that you can't get back. That's my thing. Yep, terrible. Hated it.
Okay, so let's take a little dive into it. I don't know how I felt about it. I'll tell you what I didn't like, and then I'll tell you what I thought it all meant, because it was definitely a metaphor for a few things. And I didn't like, I'm really trying to see what's going on with Justice Smith's career. I mean, this dude is always acting in these weird, strange movies. And I mean, from Detective Pikachu to American Society of Magical Negroes, now I Saw the TV Glow. Somebody need to talk to this young man and put a little bass in his voice or something. I don't know, but this, I did not like that about it. He's just not a strong enough actor to carry these roles that have deeper meanings to them. Not Detective Pikachu, but the other ones I mentioned. But okay, so I thought this movie was about teenage depression. It seemed like there were some elements of self-harm. maybe, and as well there was some but when I looked it up because I watched it a couple times, and it's the director and writer says it's also about transgender. So and what it is a metaphor for trying to come out with a gender identity. I might be spoiling it for people, but it's already out there.
No,
It's been
you're not spoiling it for anybody, Pam. Nobody got that. And if you have to read through 3 reviews to figure out what the show was about, it was not
no,
a good show.
I mean, I think it's important that
Period.
I thought if nothing else, this is what I think. If nothing else, A24 movies are going to give you something to think about and you're going to feel some kind of way, right? You might not like it, but you felt something, like if it's rage because you had to sit there and watch it
I
for
felt
that
boredom.
long. If it was if it
Boredom.
spoke to you in some kind of way because this might be what you're going through, or if it just gets you to talking because you felt something about it. I mean, I feel like A24 does that, just them and Bloomhouse do that the best. And I just feel like if this is what the writer and director were going for, I thought it was an interesting way to talk about. And plus, I love the name Peak Opaque. Okay, that's cool. That's just a cool like phrase. And I was thinking to myself, okay, if this, it also reminded me of the shows of the late 90s, 2000s, like Charmed and like the little TV show Peak Opaque and Wix and stuff like that. That
Well,
kind
they were
of
channeling
appeal.
a lot of that stuff, but Pico Pake would be best friends with Autumn Vibes.
Yeah, all right. It'd be Autumn Vibes and Peak Opaque taking over. But it's just I still think it was interesting concept, maybe not delivered in the best way, and maybe not really they didn't delve into the topic the way that they needed to, but I thought it was an interesting, if nothing else, it was interesting. So I don't know if it's a full-hearted recommendation, but it's interesting. I just thought I never seen anything like it. So for that alone, I'm like, okay, it's not an A+ movie for sure, but it's interesting. It's something different. I don't know if I'd have a daily diet of it, but it's interesting. David, what were you saying?
Well, the only thing else I would say though is I thought the acting, maybe this is more a commentary of my opinion of today's youth. If you'll excuse me, I've got to get people off my lawn. I thought that acting, I thought that kind of spoke to very kind of humdrum kind of whatever kind of people. So it reminded me of a Joaquin Phoenix performance from a movie a long time ago where I thought, man, what a terrible actor. And he was coming across as like an idiot on purpose. Then you see his talent. I actually think they intended to come across in that comatose, lethargic vibe we got from some of the performances. I think that was intentional. And so I'll honor that request, that performance as that's what they thought the characters should be to reflect those people. They weren't inspiring, but I actually think they were played well for what they were trying to be.
I just think it was I hear you. And I think when I read what they had intended for it and the messages they intended, I was like, okay. Because in one shot you see them on the field and he's wearing a dress and she calls him Isabel. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, I mean, it's like a lot of little stuff, but Fred Durst played the father.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's Fred Durst. What happened to Fred Durst?
He got old. It happened.
Recognizable. But it's Pat, go ahead. What you want to say?
Well, I mean, you're just reinforcing my point, I think. Whereas if you had a work of art, whether it be a painting, a sculpture, a song, a movie, should stand on its own. You should be able to watch the movie and get what you need to get out of it. Or
there's abstract.
No, you should. I mean, that's how. I mean, if it's truly that inspiring, if you have to go read 5 reviews or watch 2 videos to explain to you what this really was about, because it was so dense that my PhD friend can't understand it without watching 2 or 3 reviews or reading 2 or 3 reviews, that tells me that it was not communicated correctly. That's poor communication. And that's what every bit of art is supposed to be doing, communicating an idea, an emotion, a feeling, and make it in such a way that
did. But I think any piece of art, what you may get from it when you watch it is something different for somebody else.
Well, none of us got that watching it, though. None of us got read a review.
Well, what I got was the part about depression, anxiety, grief, from the characters, and I didn't get that it was also about being trapped in your body and being transgender. But that's not my experience either. But I thought it was interesting how you did that, because it kind of reminded me of Annihilation a few years ago, when you looked at the movie and on the surface it seemed like one thing, but then it turned out it was about something else entirely. And then I was like, oh wow, that is clever. So this wasn't as clever, but I can appreciate the originality of it. So it's a mixed review. Pat hates it. David's like, and I'm like, it's interesting. So I suggest that you out there put in the comments what you think, and also let us know what your thoughts are, and check it out for yourself. I hope we didn't spoil it for you, but it's been out a while, so just watch it again. It's interesting. Okay, next up is our finale of The Rings of Power. Let's take a peek.
It's the ring. It has him. Mind and soul. Take off the ring!
You're strong enough to wield an axe, but are you strong enough to use it against your father?
All loyal Numenorians are called upon to oppose this threat.
You wish to heal Middle-earth. Heal yourself.
Ooh, what does our resident Tolkien expert think?
It was good to see some things moving along. It was nice to see a reappearance of a character from the original Lord of the Rings trilogy showing up in there. Same actor, the Balrog.
Yes, the Balrog. Okay.
Yeah, the Balrog. He's kind of a main character. Yeah, he was pretty big in the first movie, so he made it back, made a come back. It was great to see him.
A literal big baddie.
It was sort of, I had some issues with how, and I guess just from reading the books, the elves are always like, one elf is worth like 30 orcs. They were just, orcs were terrible. They were poor imitations made of elves by the great enemy Morgoth during the first age. And so they were always just terrible. They were in the sunlight. They were weak. They weren't urukai that you see Saruman making in the Lord of the Rings movies that could withstand the sunlight. So there's a lot of things that I had problems with through the battle. Incidentally, elves getting felled by one arrow to their armored chest, but yet one of our main characters was stuck like a pincushion, like he was like Boromir as an elf, and living on and talking about it, and fighting back and stuff. And I was just like, maybe not. That's just that continuity was
because the elf.
No,
but elves aren't real. So
well, no, yes. My suspension. If you're gonna bring me into this world, you're gonna tell me what the rules are. We're using arrows just like we used in medieval Europe. We're using swords like we used in medieval Europe. We're using castle walls like medieval Europe. We're going with medieval Europe rules for battle at that point. So, but getting stuck with 5 or 6 arrows. Wow, missed all the vital organs. Way to go, good shot there. I'm just like. That stuck out to me as a bit of a weird choice. It was interesting to see how the dwarf story had progressed.
Yes,
I was
I love the
mostly
dwarf
happy.
story.
Mostly happy. Well, I mean, the thing is, the dwarf story is the one I'm going to have the least problems with because there's so little of it told in any of the books.
Yeah,
I mean, the dwarfs were like an afterthought, and actually, canonically, they were an afterthought when Oli the Maker, the great smith of the Valar, wanted people to follow him, so he made the dwarfs and the 7 fathers of the dwarfs in secret and hid them. And everybody's like, "Oh wait, all the other Valar found out about it." And they're like, "Okay, we gotta destroy him." And so Oli's going to kill him, and they cringed. And then Manwë, the main Valar, says, "Whoa, stop!" They cringe. They have sentience. We can't kill them. You're going to put them to sleep under the mountains until the firstborn, the elves, come along. So that actually the dwarfs were older than the elves, but the elves were the first ones to awake and be able to do their thing. So then they got woke up, and they were always called the stunted ones, the latecomers. I mean, there's a lot of weird little names for them that Tolkien and the high elves decided.
Well, tell us what you think of this episode, man.
It was good to get back to Numenor to see the faithful getting persecuted properly, because that's pretty accurate with the books too. And I did see an Ar-Pharazôn is
Pharazôn.
Yeah, and the thing is I still have problems with the way they've kind of condensed that space down, because the change from the elven names of Niriel or whatever her name was, the queen, and then they go straight to Ar-Pharazôn. There was like several generations of people doing away with elven names before they get all the way to this Ar-Pharazôn, who was the last king of Numenor. Spoilers. Yeah, he's going to be the last one. Okay, so impending doom is what we're going for here, and they've kind of drawn that out pretty well. You only see Isildur.
They should fall since the Valar picked her, and then they're just like, we don't want this woman to be.
Well, we
got her with good care conditioner.
That's not that's not really what's going to happen. It's not because of that. There's something else coming, and I won't ruin it for you guys or any people out there watching this. Read the books and you'll know. Just like when I watched Game of Thrones and saw the Red Wedding, I knew that was coming, and everybody's like, "Oh!" I'm like, I knew that was coming. Reading books is always better.
Well, we appreciate the
forbearance,
reluctance to reveal all.
Well,
yes,
but
I mean that was interesting to see, But I'm still confused as they're only showing Isildur and Elendil. There should be another brother there, Anorian, who is the other brother of Isildur. The 3 of them came over and started their own kingdom in Middle Earth, which Gondor is, of course, the kingdom that they founded. The main city was ran by Elendil, and there were 2 smaller cities, Osgiliath and Cirrus. I can't remember what that. I'm sorry, my Elvish is a little rough tonight. They all had their own cities, and they all ran them, and they were all in the war against in the final alliance of men and elves, where the ring gets cut from Sauron's finger, which they allude to in the first movie if you hadn't read the books. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff kind of going on there.
Good.
A lot of stuff going on there. It was nice to see Narsil unsheathed and all that stuff. take the sword, and it's the sword. It's the sword Aragorn is going to be wielding in a couple decades, a couple hundred years or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I do like the series. I do like the series. I'm still having real problems with Galadriel being a warrior queen. This is not it's not anywhere in the book. It's not anywhere in any of the books. Well,
I mean, though, however, if you look at the end, they have like the little behind the scenes, and the Tolkien person, like the what's the word I'm looking for? Descendant.
Yes.
Agreed to a couple of the changes, and that's one of them. But there's another one that they.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Of course,
yeah,
he didn't meet Grandpa. He didn't meet great grandpa. He don't care.
Well, he's still the family, so they still are involved with it. And so
they have been protecting the intellectual property for many, many years. I get it.
Hey, everybody. Canon matters. Canon matters to those who care. It matters to Pat. Hey, let's change up Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek to do something with the Durst Chapel. And we're going to see you, Autumn Vibes, hold the banner up pretty high and get upset. I saw that.
I mean, the Canon and Uhura and Spock getting together. Come on now. And I didn't care. I mean, so
you were outraged. You were outraged. Stop it.
I don't know if she was outraged about that, but I know something happened in the Pike show, and Pam definitely took great exception to the way the characters were being portrayed. She was holding on to that Star Trek canon pretty tight there, and actually inspired me in my new tattoo.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that later. But David, what did you think of this finale and everything that happened?
Well, I like this a lot. I've really, midway through this second season, I'm like, I'm going to just ignore the names that are confusing. I just started calling people like Jim and Raphael and names that I understood. Get Andre in there, get that stuff going.
Not Andre.
This was good.
Donatello, Michael Langevin, whatever.
That's exactly right. Yes, I'm going old school.
Ninja Turtles there.
There you go. I'm getting that with some teeth. But no, this was fun. I really enjoyed it. It is one of the things on TV that when you're watching it, I feel like I'm watching a movie. And I say that as a great compliment with the look of it, the feel of it. They're taking this seriously. If I was making a comparison, I think, the Game of Thrones, the dragon stuff, I like that better than this, but I really enjoyed this and really look forward to seeing some more of this as we go forward. I'm jazzed about the show. Gotta watch it. This is a great thing to watch in the winter. Start back with season 1 and pick it back up for those that weren't watching it as closely as they should have, like me. Yeah,
so I really enjoyed this episode. I think, okay, let me say what I didn't like, and then I'll finish up with what I like. I didn't like the whole Hobbit story, the with the Nori and the stranger who finally was revealed as who he is. Because I was like, why did they wrap that up two episodes before and then have the rest of the last 2 episodes about the big scenes, the big Numenor and the big battle with the elves and the orcs and stuff? Because I felt like that kind of took away from the big action. You had to stop, wait a minute, and then go back to, I was like, and we all knew who he was anyways. And that whole storyline was just a little bit, who cares? But the rest of it, Celebrimbor, my boy, he came back, and with his little bit of finally had to give himself some hard truths, and then give Anatar some hard truths about himself. I thought that was really great scene between the two of them. And when Anatar, you saw that single tear coming down his face, and I was like, "Go ahead, Charlie Vickers. He just crushed it this season." And then the fight between Galadriel and Sauron, that was super cool, and I was like, wait a minute, why did she just say, wait a minute, look over there, and then like stab him or something? I was like, just cheat. But I really liked, and the scene with Adar, I thought, now that was one that the Tolkien relative approved of.
Okay.
Because he was supposed to, well, I'll just say it if you haven't watched it yet. He was supposed to die early on, but they really liked what the actor was bringing to it. And so he was able to have this nice arc. And I just thought that scene was just really powerful. I thought he was going to be revealed as an elf, I guess from the stories. Everybody was talking about, oh, this guy, oh, it's that guy. But I thought it was pretty cool that they said, oh, my name, it's lost. It doesn't matter. I earned Adar. I thought that was a cool way to kind of hint at it, but not actually reveal it. So people will still question if it was the elf who knew her mother, and I don't know, something. But I really enjoyed the dwarf scenes, and the final scene with during the third, the king. I just thought that was super emotional and powerful, and then super cool what happened. I didn't expect that at all, but apparently that was one of the first scenes they talked about that was important that they did for the show. And so we say farewell to King Durin, but he went out like a complete G. So that was super cool. And Disa and Durin, all these daggum Durins, just start thinking of other names, people. But Durin the Fourth.
The only Durin at this point.
I know. Now he's Durin the Fourth. And I thought that was cool. And then it was super cool that the dwarves did come to the aid of the elves. So I was like, yay. So definitely it brought all the feels and nice little cliffhanger. We'll see what happens in season 3. I think they said it's only going to be 4 seasons. So this is, we're going to be in the next to the last season next time. I think that's what I heard. Well, it costs so much money to do each episode. That's why, David, it looks like a movie, because they're spending like, it's $100-something million for this season. So it's crazy expensive.
And it still sounds like it was less expensive than the Acolyte.
Yeah, I think it could be up there with the, with the cost of it.
They were like about 180, 200 million when you count in marketing. Boy, Disney auditors got to check that out. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, they rich. They got the money. They're the billionaires. They got it. Disney owns everything anyway.
Yeah, they're raising the price of Disney Plus to make up
their
for that.
bottom line.
It is.
So
and took off Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Definitely all of the feels for the Rings of Power. Was a great season. Looking forward to, I don't know, it'll probably be what, 2026, 2027 before the next one. So we'll see, but I think we'll all be there for it. Check it out. All right. And finally, the next episode, I think like the hippy dippy episode of Agatha All Along. Let's take a peek. Oh.
Don't drink anything. Don't eat anything. Don't touch
anything.
No cheating this time.
What?
I get the pleasure of watching you do what you do best. Kill all the witches around you. One by one.
Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road.
We're supposed to look out for each other, but we didn't. That was our fatal mistake.
Follow me, my friend, to glory at the end.
Ooh, this was something else. I talk about, I don't know if I love this episode. I thought it was okay. I think the song maybe wasn't great to me. And I don't know, something just felt a little blah, where the other episodes were exciting. This kind of was kind of like low energy or something. But it was definitely moves the story along, and it's interesting to see what they're going to do with each week. I still want to know if Deborah Jo Rupp, Mrs. Hart, is she really dead? I don't know. I want to see. I want to know. But it was a big reveal at the end. I won't spoil it, but it's interesting. I don't know. I still am holding on to my original thought because witches aren't known to be truthful either. So, but it was an okay episode. David, what'd you think?
You never know what to expect with this show. Kind of, it's filling in that WandaVision thing. So I don't know that I was as engaged this episode in some respects.
Yeah.
But I did love the costumes. It was kind of fun to do like the Housewives show the week before. Here we're into that late 60s, maybe more early 70s. I felt a little Janis Joplin that going on. That some of those vests and the young man's hair with his straight hair. That was kind of funny. And great to see back Audrey Plaza, to be back in, she was really not in the last episode, so kind of fun to see her back. I'm enjoying it. They're showing all the different ways that you can sing this song of Down the Road. I'm looking forward to I actually did enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the Gregorian chant, the kabuki, and the hip hop versions. I'm sure we're going to get all three of those. Well, maybe not the kabuki, but we can hope. It's fun. It's different than what you're thinking about. What normally what I think about these shows. The cast is good. I actually did think the song, that was one of my favorite parts of it.
Yeah. Well, that's okay if you're wrong.
David, I'm glad she said that to you too, David. I'm glad to see that happens to you too.
Well, it is about time, isn't it, brother?
I get it all the time. It's pretty regular for me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Pat, what did you think?
Well, I thought this was. I mean, it's moving the story along. I enjoyed the immersion in the 70s feel there. It had a Fleetwood Mac vibe to me more than maybe
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
And which really tracks because Stevie Nicks has always kind of leaned into that whole witchy thing, so it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I thought that was nifty. The big, the way they got out of it was interesting too, and everybody got injured. And then of course, like you say, you see there was some, you get hints at the history between Agatha and the Aubrey Plaza character. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I'm down to keep going with this. It was good. It wasn't fast moving. It wasn't exciting. So I'm definitely going to keep watching.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something interesting, and I think everybody should take a look and watch it, and just watch it for what it is, and not try to bring in, well, I think Marvel should do this for this or that or whatever. Just take it as it is. And then you never know how it's going to connect up to the main big storylines for the MCU. You just don't know. They don't always reveal it, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
But I do think
the-
it's a danger if they try to make you think, well, you've got to watch the TV show and the animated version to keep up with what's going on in the movies. I think that's dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, just let them stand on their own.
Standing on their own, would work.
If there's
well with
some
a TV
tie-in, let them tie it in some other kind of way.
Yeah.
But
the end credits are delightful, by
appreciate
the way. That's the one thing I would say is that the end credits, if you just watch them, they're very visually. They remind me a lot of the Loki end credits. So maybe they got the same guy designing it.
Yeah,
but
it's the same.
That kind of that
and
flashes, different styles. Yeah,
I'll rewatch
really
it. I'll rewatch it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that takes us for what we have for today. And next week, we will keep up with Agatha and going down the witch's road. And also, we're going to check out the new FX series, Grotesquerie, with Niecy Nash. And fellas, David, say goodnight to the people.
Well, everybody, good night. I hope you were able to see my tattoo. It was a little bit of a switcheroo here at the beginning in honor of Pam and her love of Star Trek. I spared no expense, and I got the Romulan warbird tattooed on this side of my face. It's in cloaked mode.
What?
I know it's there. I know it's there. It's just cloaked. I paid good money. I paid over $200 for this, and it's even named the Pajama. It's the only Romulan warbird named after a human being. The Pajama. It's cloaked, but it's there.
Yeah. Okay.
That's as cheesy as I get, everybody, and you know it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Pat, say goodnight to the people. Hey, before we do, hey, our buddy Tim Windsor was with us tonight. Hey, Tim. And it looks like we had a good number of people with our show today. Thanks for watching. Pat, say goodnight to the people.
Good night, everybody who's watching. Come back and we'll have more stuff for you.
And if you like, put in the comments if there's something you'd like us to review, and we will review it. And we'll see you next time on Pajama Life. Take care. Bye.